What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Strength Solutions podcast. We can be found on Apple, Spotify. You can rate and review us. Also, we're on YouTube, so subscribe down below. Give us that good stuff, that like button. Then leave a comment about how my amazing bald head shines. Mm-hmm. And then you could check out our website, strengthsolutionspodcast.com. Then you can find us on social media. It's Strength Solutions Podcast across the board. I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
Let's get ready for this amazing podcast.
Let's do it.
All right. So we're to start with our fitness topic. And in our fitness topic, guess what? People tend to do things that don't make a big difference. Okay. I don't know if you remember the story of a professor having a class going. If you were to fill up this bucket, how would you fill up this bucket to fill it all up? Mm-hmm. And to fill up the fast as you can, you take the big rocks first, right? Takes less big rocks, put as many as you can. Then you get the small pebbles. Then you throw the sand in there at the very end. And too many times people focus on that very sand at the end versus the big rocks.
Interesting.
And so I want to talk about the things that people focus on that don't make a big of a difference overall. And it's more about consistency and doing what you need to do in the weight room, sleep, and nutritionally to make a big difference.
Yeah.
And so the first thing I want to talk about is fasted cardio. Nathaniel loves fasted cardio. He likes waking up like 3 o'clock in the morning,
big fasted
get his fast cardio because you tend to burn more fat.
Yeah, I'm not. So I will say this. I do tend to fast, right? Like I do tend to not eat until sort of later in the day than I guess most people would assume. You do. And so I tend to do that a lot, but I don't really do cardio as much in general, but I do resistance train fasted. So I'm usually fasted before a training session, then I'll eat afterwards. Now I just do that because that's just what I do. I'm not trying to do it, to like burn more fat or like whatever it is, but that is one of the things I hear a lot of people like ask questions about, like, what do you think about eating before, doing this? Mm-hmm. Or even just a resistance training session too, and I'll just be like, whatever feels good, like whatever you feel better. If I eat before a resistance training session, I just feel like I'm going to throw up.
Yeah. And let's talk about what fasted cardio does, right? So it's supposed to burn more fat because you haven't eaten and you're going to be in ketosis.
Yeah.
Now, if you're waking up early, let's just say a little bit earlier, well, of course, you're going to burn more calories throughout your day because now you added an extra 2,000 steps and you're awake for an hour earlier. So what you're really doing is just burning more total calories overall.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, let's say I'm doing fasted cardio and then I eat all those calories back. I literally just wasted my fasted cardio and waking up early for no reason anyways.
I see.
And yes, you're supposed to be quote unquote burning fat, but at the end of the day, it's much more complex than if I'm fasted, I'm going to burn fat. If I'm in ketosis, I'm just going to burn fat.
Yeah.
Yes, I use fat as a utilized energy source, but it's not just pulling from fat. It pulls from carbs. It may pull from your muscle, depending on what state, if you're too fasted.
Yeah. I think we should also just like point out that I do hear a lot of people say like, I've had clients who will like check their heart rate during a session, and they're like, oh, I want to make sure that I'm like in my fat burning zone or whatever. And I think that we need to understand that when they say things like, oh, you're going to burn more fat this way or whatever, it's not like you're like burning your body's fat. You know what I mean? It's you're using fat as an energy source, right? Like if I haven't intaken any carbohydrates that day and I've only intaken fat, then I'm going to use fat as an energy source, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not suddenly, minimizing the fat on my body or something like that. That's a different sort of process that happens. And so I think that we need to really like, I don't want to say stop saying that, but like just sort of clear up that when we say like, oh, you're in the fat burning zone or you're going to burn more fat during this, we need to clarify that you're like using it as an energy source. You're not so much like dissolving the fat off your body,
It's just melting away.
Yeah. And I think that that's what a lot of people sort of conclude, because why wouldn't a burning fat, I'm going to lose body fat, and it's like, it's not the same concept.
I really don't think people understand like how much energy it really takes to burn fat or actually to lose fat
or to like burn calories at all.
And when you're losing fat, it's not really that your fat is disappearing. It's just the cells are shrinking. You're still keeping the same amount of fat cells. They're just shrinking or growing. And that's the difference.
Interesting.
All right. The next thing is waking up and waiting an hour for your coffee. So this has become very popular right now, and
I
people are talking about
here. Yeah.
Right, it's become very popular, and we had some even in a podcast talk about like, oh, it makes a difference. Yeah, it makes a difference, but it's such a micro difference that if you really enjoy your coffee in the morning, that sets your mood up for the day and makes you have better results later on. Why even do this?
Yeah, it's one of those things that I think that you start to focus on, like those little, like that's what you're talking about, right? Like these little tiny minor details that people say like, oh, this, this changed my life when I started doing this.
It was a game changer.
Yeah. Or they're like, oh, new research came out that, if you drink your coffee, an hour before, then you're going to die, or whatever. Yeah. And it's like, these are such like minuscule things that you put too much energy into, right? That are, like you said, first thing I like to do is I'll drink like 8 ounces of water in the morning. That's like the first thing I do, because I'll take like my vitamins and stuff like that with it as well. Next thing I'm having is coffee, bro. That's the next thing going inside.
That's a lie.
what is the next
I thought you said you like cock second.
Start my day with that, and then the water to wash it down. And then,
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. But yeah, it's these little things, and it's so funny to me that we make such a big deal. Now, if you're a health optimizer, which a majority of us are not,
right?
Let's just be honest with ourselves. I was literally having this conversation with my client today about how we're so worried about this modality or that modality, or this is how you need to work out. And right now, in Peterson, they asked me to look at like the stretches that they're recommending for clients in their videos.
Oh, cool.
And stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was looking at them and I was like, these are fine.
Yeah.
But I know there's a lot more detail that could be put in, but their clients are not going to probably be able to handle it.
Right.
That's a lot of hands-on information you're going to have to do like we do.
Yeah. Nor do they like really need to know that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But there's like details like, okay, if I'm doing a hip flexor stretch, you need to activate the quads or glutes a little bit more.
Yeah, like squeeze glutes more. Yeah.
Yeah, and stuff like that. And it's just like, okay, they need to just teach them how to alleviate the pain from where they're at. And then they need to go to someone to activate a little bit more.
Right.
I think too many times we just spend that time focusing on like, oh, this one exercise, this one thing, it's not going to make a difference. No. It's very complex. Your whole body's complex. The next thing is working out at a certain time.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's that research study we read not long ago. They're like, whoa, bless you. People who have like diabetes and stuff, it's best for them to work out in the evening.
Right. I do remember that. Yeah.
And honestly, what can you do consistently is more important than you working out in the evening. Because if you can only work out in the morning and that's your routine, you're just going to have to do it.
That's just when you're going to do it. Yeah. I mean, like for me, I've been working out. I've been trying to figure out new ways to sort of set up my programs to where, I'm not going over like 45 minutes. I'm doing smaller, more efficient workouts, more intensity, in them. And that's working for me right now, and I'll work out for me whenever I have the damn time. Yeah. Sometimes it's on the weekend, sometimes it's like middle of the day during the week. I know there's a lot of research out there that's like, oh, it's your prime time is between these hours of the day, or like you said, like health optimizers, maybe they're trying to work out when their testosterone is the highest, so they can get out the most of it. But it's like at the end of the day, none of that really matters if you're like not going to the gym consistently.
I totally agree.
Yeah. I mean, there are times where I feel better when I work out, for me, it's like,
but if you're not going to get it in that day because it's in that hour, it's better
like,
to get it in, not to get it in.
Right. Like I'm not going to be like, oh, I can't work out at 2 p.m. today. Oh, I guess I just won't work out, no, I'm going to do it whenever I can.
Yeah, dude. I think about it all the time when I'm writing a program, like the new program I'm on, which is going to be something that comes out for us in November. I feel so much better because I'm so busy right now that 45 minutes is all I have.
Yeah.
And I got to fit it between gaps, maybe 30 minutes on some days. And I'm actually starting to run. I got myself running shoes.
Whoa.
That's a story for another day.
Who are you? All right.
All right.
You doing it fasted?
Because it's the only way I could burn fat. You know that?
You're right.
Yeah. The next one is making perfect food choices.
Okay.
And so people we're like, you have to eat this food. You have to have 2 cups of blueberries. You have to have salmon.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you got to build habits slowly. You got to worry about your protein. You got to worry about how much fruits and vegetables you get to get some fiber in. If you worry about those things and the water, you'd be completely fine, because we know as well, we digest food differently. So this guy can eat all the corn he wants.
Yeah.
I can have all the dairy I want, but it doesn't work the other way.
You know what I found out? Well, I mean, you're going to tell me yes, but I eat corn, all the time. It's fine. But like, for whatever reason, popcorn makes me like shit myself. Like, I like.
Really? Do you get bad breath?
No. Well.
Does Camille say, I don't want to kiss you anymore?
Well, like, dude, I also hardly ever eat popcorn. Like ever.
Well, maybe you do have an intolerance to the corn.
Yeah, because I don't eat it as often, right? Because I don't really eat it that often, but when I do, that's interesting, huh?
Do you drink soda?
Maybe we're corn buddies.
Yay!
Yeah, I mean, like Coke Zero and stuff like that.
Well, that's not the same as regular Coke.
Yeah, I don't drink like full sugar sodas, I guess you could say. I don't know what to call them.
I'm trying to think what else has corn.
Yeah.
You have cream corn?
No.
Dude, you need to get some cream corn.
I'll cream your corn, bro. That's all I'll do.
Oh, that's what I like. Play some sword fighting.
Yeah, no, I don't really do. I guess I don't really have corn that often, which is the same sort of concept with me with like dairy. Like I don't really have it that often, and now when I do, I'm like, ugh. So
you're just finding out like you're more in tune with your body.
Yeah, and that's one of those things like you're saying. Like, so right now, I told you that I had talked to our friend Vanessa right over at Wellnessa, and I was asking her for like some supplements for like cognitive stuff, and I was like, what can help me like with like memory retention and shit like that, because I'm like the most forgetful person ever. And she was like, well, I'm not gonna give you any supplements.
Guys, I have to text them one word during the podcast every time.
Yeah. I was like, if you have any like supplements that you would recommend, that'd be awesome. And she was like, well, I'm not going to give you supplements, but I'll give you food. And I was like, oh, come on, dude. Just give me a pill, bro.
Well, that's a good transition to this next thing, because supplements was on the list.
Yeah.
So a lot of people spend so much money on supplements. It's like $600-700 a month on supplements, and they don't take care of their food, and they look the same.
Yeah, it's funny. I got a text from someone the other day, and they were like, what is the best like fat burner on the market? And I was like,
your body.
Caffeine. Like, I was like, I don't know, just have more caffeine. I was like, all of them are just like super high doses of caffeine with like some other random crap that they're going to tell you is like burning your body fat away, which is the same sort of concept here of like, it's not burning your body fat, like that's just not happening. And so, yeah, it's like, when, really, I would be like, I literally was like, I don't know, caffeine and like going to the gym. Like, that's like, I was like, that's like the best fat burner I can think of, because otherwise all the other shit is just shit. It's just garbage. You know what I mean?
I've learned though, the good part about supplements, if you're a person who takes supplements, is if supplements change your behaviors when you're eating.
Fair enough. Right. Yeah.
Right. And I felt like this is what is the difference for some people. They're like, well, I'm spending this money on the supplement. Now I have to change my behavior to eating, and now I'm going to eat better.
Yeah. And I think that does happen sometimes, but I also think it can happen the other way, right? Yeah. Where it's like, oh, I'm taking a fat burner, so, it's fine. I'll just eat whatever because it's burning my fat anyway, and then you end up and you're just like fucking your heart's beating really fast and you're just like really full. It's like, I'm just full of chicken tenders and my heart is beating. And then, then you end up in a shitty situation where, now you don't do anything because you're like, oh, well, I'm just going to rely on the supplements and that'll take care of it,
Mm-hmm. All right. So I haven't seen you in a while. We talked about it like right when we walked the door. It feels like forever.
It has felt like forever,
a century.
Yeah.
My manhood has changed since I've been.
Yeah. I need to know all about it. How are you feeling, bro? It's been a little while since you've been on
feeling
stuff.
Good, dude. I'm doing experiments on myself. It's great, man.
Yeah. Are you feeling like, have you had any negative effects from any of the things that you tried?
No.
Okay.
So the one thing I can't wait to talk about, but
I know
it's going to take time because I've only been doing it 2 weeks.
Okay.
Send the link to Camille. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
And y'all will find out later if y'all follow us or tell people to follow us. You'll find out my experiment later.
Yeah. Do you feel any different or anything like that? I know we're talking like vaguely about it, but
yes, I do feel different, and Amanda loves it.
Interesting, dude.
It's great.
Yeah. I can't wait to talk about this.
Dude, it's going to be amazing. Anything you've been up to, bro?
Man, let's see. I went to a birthday party for some friends. I went to a flea market. I went to Trader's Village. Have you been there before?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking huge.
There's like a carnival ride?
There's like a little carnival
Get
thing
your
in
turkey
the
leg.
middle. Get your turkey leg. Yeah, get a little sausage on a stick.
You like sausage on a stick.
I actually
You like
really
sausage
do.
in your mouth,
I love
thrown
it.
all over.
Yeah. I was like, give me 3 of them.
Yeah. He always says he likes them burnt, so they're big and black.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's about it, man. I really haven't been up to too much. It's just fucking working, trying to work out whenever I can, just like surviving, bro. I definitely felt like a little bit of a struggle these past few weeks. Like, I don't know what it is with like sleep and stuff like that. Like, I guess I really haven't felt as energized as I was. I will say that the last week, I don't think I took my magnesium at all that week. And so I'm kind of starting it again this week. So maybe I'll start to feel some change again.
You know, that's crazy. I wonder, like, oh, you're like, damn, I can sleep again.
Yeah, because it was like when I was taking it, bro, like I told you, I was like, damn, this shit's fucking crazy, man. Like I feel awesome. And then last week, I don't know what it was. It's different because I had like my habit is that I'll start in the morning. I'll take all my vitamins and stuff like that, like, you know, before I even start my day. But the magnesium I take at night. So it's like not part of my routine at night to take it. So sometimes I just like,
I leave it right on my counter where
that's a good idea. Maybe I should do that. Like have like 2 separate areas for it, or maybe I should just leave it in my room because I have it like where I have like all my medications and just have it close by.
You know, it's that's part of like the supplements creating other habits because that supplement helps your sleep. It probably helps the habits later on throughout
Right,
your day.
and it's like I'll take it like I said, like an hour, maybe 2 hours before I go to sleep, and it, like as I'm doing it. It like sets me up later on to be like, okay, I know I have to go to sleep at a certain time, you know, and it kind of winds me down too. Like it almost like tells me like, okay, now is bedtime, you know, and it's like, okay.
Dang, dude, that's cool. So I wanted to talk about this week was I had a talk with someone who has done a great job. They lost a lot of weight. They look very great, but they're stuck aesthetically. And they were like, how do I transition my goals? And I was, well, you can focus on performance, strength, agility. What do you want as your goal? And like, they're like, well, I want this and I want that. And I was like, just pick one. And the second thing I asked was, what does your Instagram account look like?
Okay.
And I was,
you mean like who are they following?
Who are they following?
Okay.
And then she told me who she's just following. I was like, get rid of everybody who doesn't give you educational content or doesn't bring something of value to your life.
Yeah. Like if you're reading, that's a really good thing to do because it's like if you look at stuff and immediately, like even if they are a good person, you know, and even if they do have good content or something, but I'm like, if you look at it and you're like, I wish I looked like them or I wish I was doing more. Okay, then it's not benefiting you, right? It's only really bringing like a negativity. And I guess it could be argued separately that like, oh, well, it's motivating, right? But I think that too many times we try and motivate ourselves negatively too, you know?
But not even just, you might say it's motivating, but subconsciously as humans, as nature, we tend to compare ourselves. And the more we put ourselves in that situation to see these things over and over and over, and these are like the 1%ers of the world. We're meant to look at a tribe of maybe 100 people and compare ourselves to 100. It's unfair to you. It's very unfair.
Yeah.
And then the last part I was talking about was stop taking pictures of yourself all the time or selfies and things like that, because you're looking at yourself, and we had a whole conversation about it. That can subconsciously start getting to you after a while. Well, I got this angle, that angle, like lighting plus angling and cameras. We know there's a lot of tips and tricks to photography that people don't see.
The thing that's funny to me too is that like, I think I always try and think about things of like, okay, what if social media just like didn't exist? You know how many people would take pictures of themselves at the gym? Fucking zero. Dude, 0 people would take pictures of themselves at the gym. Because at the end of the day, you don't store them in your phone and go like, oh, I'm going to look at these later on. No, you post them on your story, you put them on your reel or whatever the fuck it is, right? And that's fine. But at the end of the day, realize that like you're not doing it for yourself. Right? You're doing it so that you can get approval from other people that tell you that what you're doing is the right thing to do. Right. And when you look at it that way, it's like, do you really want to do that?
and then it leads to people not living their life and living their life through Instagram.
Yeah.
And living for the camera and living for feedback versus finding value in themselves.
Right.
And always trying to seek outside validation.
Yeah.
Versus I have meaning in my life. I have purpose in my life.
Right. Like me and you, man. I mean, essentially we are like fitness content creators, you know what I mean? Or influencer or whatever it is. But it's just like, I post on my Instagram, like maybe once every 2 weeks, you know what I mean? Cause when I'm in the gym, I'm just trying to be at the gym and like get done and whatever, you know?
I feel like it's mentally unhealthy for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, we both tried, you know, we've both been like, okay, we're going to do like 3 times this week or whatever, you know? And then at the end of the day, I'm just like, I'm just stressing about this and I don't even care.
It doesn't bring any value to my life.
It doesn't bring any value to my life. It doesn't, you know, increase anything. It's not the one thing that's going to make the difference and whether we succeed or not, you know what I mean? And it's just like, it's, again, it kind of goes back to like, you're focusing on something too small when there's a much bigger picture at hand.
It's kind of like your favorite influencer, Eddie Abbew, right? Is that his name?
You know this guy?
He's like your favorite one, huh?
Have you seen this guy? You know,
yeah, you sent me some videos.
Yeah. Okay, but have you heard of him before?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So the other day, I follow Eddie Hall, right, who's a strongman competitor, which, to be honest with you, I'm kind of like not really feeling him anymore. I don't really know. Like his content's just like weird now, and it's not the same. I liked when he was competing. Now I definitely feel like it's sort of like
he's trying to make a second business.
Yeah, it's just like disingenuous, I guess. Like he has like a programming app thing called Beast Academy or whatever. And they, you know, everybody who follows him is like sort of in this like big long thread where it's just like businesses sending out stuff, which is actually kind of a good idea. We should kind of do that. Anyway, in it, like they're always like, Eddie created this new program, blah, blah. And I'm just like, no, he didn't, man. Like he didn't create any program. Like it's just all a business thing. But anyway, there was this video with him and Eddie Abbew or Abbew, whatever. I don't know how to pronounce it. And they were at like a supermarket or something, and they live in England, so it's probably like a Tesco's or some shit like that. And they're like stopping people outside of the grocery store and like being like, hey, like, do you mind if we like go through your cart and kind of like approve or disapprove of the stuff you have, you know?
What the?
And so they're going through it, and then, you know, like they're like at the camera being like, this is bullshit, this is crap for you, like blah, 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 you know? And I was just like, God damn. And so I at that point, I didn't know who this guy was. So I went to his page and I went to go follow him, and I looked at his stuff and I followed him, and I was like, well, let me see. Because at the time I was like, well, if Eddie Hall hangs out with him, I kind of trust Eddie Hall. I guess I'll see what this guy has to say. And then I realized that his whole account is fucking like insane. Like, dude, yeah, dude, like he's one of those guys that they like make fun of. Like, man, I can't remember the other dude's name.
James Smith.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, so James Smith is a PT, also out of the UK, I think.
No, he's out of Australia.
Oh, okay. They have the same accent, bro.
Just ask Camille's mom.
Oh my god, dude. Anyway,
same
like,
accent,
different
place,
shit, right? Yeah. Anyway, it was. He was sort of making fun of him because, dude, Eddie, his whole page, I'm going to call him Eddie A. Okay, so his whole page is just like, go to the grocery store, pick something out, talk a bunch of shit about it and how it's going to kill you. And then like the next thing. And it's fucking everything. You know, everything is going to kill you unless it's like butter, a steak, or like, you know, vegetables straight from the ground. And, you know, which like I don't fully disagree with. You know what I mean? There is a lot of like stuff that we should pay attention to and everything, but I also feel like it's one of those things.
It's how you deliver the content.
It's how you deliver the content. And it's also how it's going to like you have to understand that when you are an influencer, right? Like him who has like a lot of followers, or if you're pairing up with Eddie Hall or something, like people are going to listen to you. They're going to look, they're going to listen, they're going to do whatever. And it's just like, think about all those people and how you're impacting them. Because me, as like a general person, you know, a dad, you know, someone who's a busy fucking life, I'm looking at that shit and I'm just like, how am I ever supposed to like do any of this stuff when I just like don't live that lifestyle? I'm not you. I can't focus on my food and my exercise every single fucking day all the time, you know, and it's just ridiculous. And I hate the way that the content is delivered. Go ahead.
No, I think there's a lot of value in knowing what actual food is.
Yeah.
And what you're really getting. It's to me, it's the way the content is delivered. So for example, let's talk about cereal. Am I anti-cereal or I'm for cereal? Look, cereal is like a dessert. Let's just be honest, right? A lot of them are sugary. Now let's say there's a high protein cereal. It's probably it's a high protein dessert. Like,
yeah, it's like a protein
honest,
bar.
It's
right?
a protein cookie.
Yeah.
Right. And the same concept. It's learning. I think we need to get to the point where we're talking to people, not at people, but to people.
Yeah.
And I think we're stuck in this fitness space. Like, I'm going to tell you what to do. No, we need to teach people how to think for themselves and create habits for themselves. We need to become more therapists that are behavioral psychologists versus let's just tell people what to do. I know people want the easy way out, but you got to do the hard thing. It's like having a child and you tell them to get off their video games, but they're having fun and they're enjoying life. No, you have to give them the hard lesson and let them figure it out.
Yeah. And the one thing too about it is that like, I'll go into the comments and I'll look at them and, you know, a lot of people are like, this guy's, you know, nutcase, like blah, blah, whatever. But then there are some people who are like, Eddie, I've been doing like, cause he's like about an animal based diet, right? Not like Liver King, but like, he's very much like
real food,
right? Yeah. And people will be like, Eddie, I've been following an animal-based diet for like 2 years, you know, because I saw your stuff and like I'm having a lot of trouble with my PCOS and it's not going away and I don't know what to do. And it's just like, you know what I mean? At that point, it's like, okay, this doesn't work for everyone, right? Yeah. It doesn't work for everybody. Maybe if for other people it does take away symptoms of that type of thing, but for other people, maybe it's more inflammatory, right? And they can't really do that type of stuff. And I don't know, that's the thing, because I don't like his content because it's so like, this is it. Everything else is, it's not even everything.
People love that shit.
I know. And it's not even like it's not even like this is it and everything else is not that good. It's like, this is it. And if you do anything else, you're dumb and you're killing yourself, you know? And that's where I'm just like, all right, dude, like let's relax, you know?
Yeah, there's like, oh, you're not an alpha male. And remember we're talking about all these guys like, no, man, there's like, you got to learn how to talk to people and like, who do you have in front of you? And I think we need to go back into this like local grassroots. Like we're in San Antonio. I want most of our listeners to be from San Antonio.
Yeah.
So that way we can meet them in person. We can affect them in person. And then from there we could go to Austin and then like branch out. Like
you expand, right?
It's hard to like affect people far away. Can you? It's conversations like this, us talking about how supplements, for example, could be good or bad, depending on how it changes your behavior or how you see them. And I think more of these conversations of the good and bad need to be told versus this is how you see it.
Yeah.
It almost makes me think about when you sent me the man versus bear debate.
Oh, God.
Right. And a lot of these women were talking about, oh, I would rather spend time with a bear than a man.
Yeah.
And
or they were saying, no. I think directly it was like, I would feel safer with a bear than a man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Safer with the bear. In my head, what you're doing in your head, you don't even realize it subconsciously. You have optimized for you to have the man in the worst situation and the bear in the best situation. Now I know statistically, people are like men attack women. And I'm like, it's probably the same men. It's probably a very low statistic of men who are willing to do this. And what we're doing is we're subconsciously telling women men are bad, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to tell my daughters, hey, if you're alone, trust a guy.
Yeah.
I am going to tell her, be careful, because I understand as a man, there is more vulnerability.
Yes.
But don't bash all men. Make it more of a conscious, intelligent conversation versus this versus that.
Yeah. I think the main thing here too, which like just on its surface is just like such a silly argument, is that like the reason that there's less statistics of bears attacking people is because we don't walk around with bears every day.
Yeah.
You know? If bears were walking down the street with us, people would die all the time from bears. You know what I mean?
They'd be hungry. They want something to eat.
I'm like, you don't live in the forest, therefore you will never get attacked by a bear. Therefore, the chances of being attacked by a man is way higher. You know what I mean? It's like we could probably I could say the same thing about women and bears. You know, I could be like, well, I'm way more safe with a bear because, you know,
a bear's not going to drive me crazy. Yeah. That mean?
It's like, you know, like a bear won't attack me because they only attack 1 in 10,000 people. And women have been shown to attack men, you know what I mean? I'm like, this is so silly. It's so dumb.
Just like it's silly when I hear these red pill guys talk about women and how women try to take your money and women do this. Like, not all women are like that.
Right.
The reason you're in that situation is because who you attract.
You chose
who's in your perception. Everything's a perception off of your own life.
Yeah.
Why are you talking like that?
Right.
All right. So this thing is crazy, bro. This is one of the most craziest things like ever. Bumble will no longer require women to make the first move.
Yeah, dude. This sort of cracked me up. It's a little funny. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody knows at this point, like what Bumble is, at least some concept of it. But Bumble is a dating app, sort of like Tinder, etc. But it's the whole grab to it was that women are the ones who speak first,
Make
right?
the first move.
They're the ones who open up the conversation. They're the only ones who can message, like a new message, right? They're the only ones that can swipe and stuff like that. And that's a good concept, right?
Yeah.
Because I think it helps a lot, and it's like it allows the woman to make the choice and not be flooded with like weird DMs and dumb stuff. And it also allows a little less pressure on the guy to, you know, deal with this stuff. But it's funny, I've seen a lot of people who've used it or I've read about it and stuff like that. And everybody is like, it's impossible. Like, you know, you'll get 5 DMs from a girl saying, hey, what's up? And then you reply and then they just never talk to you again. And it's like, okay, it could be a chance that maybe they, you know, met someone else or they chose to talk to them instead or whatever. But I think it just goes to show the fact that like opening up conversations, starting that whole thing, driving the conversation, etc. Most things that are usually stereotypically the man's job, right, is hard.
It's hard. So their biggest complaint, it was a big burden on them.
Yeah, and it is a huge burden. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know. You know, like just before I got here, I was having a conversation with Camille, and she was like, "Have you ever been like on a date with someone, and like you know before you even like really got into the date, you like regretted choosing to go on the date with the person?" And I was like, to be real honest with you, I haven't been on many dates because I don't really like talk to people like that. Like I'm too literally just straight up. I'm too afraid to like make that first move and like continue the whole thing and all this stuff. Like there was a moment in time where I was on Tinder and dude, I literally could not be like, let's hang out. Like I was like, it's too much fucking pressure. I can't do it. and so I'm like, yeah, now the tables are sort of turned, you know, and it's funny because I'm imagining maybe they're losing users or maybe people aren't signing up for like premium subscriptions or whatever. So now they're just opening it up to essentially just be like any other dating app where either party can message each other, I guess.
Dang,
It's pretty funny.
Crazy. All right. So in 1965, there was a 425-pound male who went on a fast for a year. He lasted 382 days and lost 275 pounds.
Yeah, this guy went on a fast and he only had like a multivitamin and like water
and potassium and sodium.
Yeah, like he had like mineral supplementation and like water, and that was it. And he said that, or you know, he would like go to a doctor to get checked and stuff like that, and everybody would like say like, "Hey, this is probably a bad idea." And he was, I liked one of the quotes that I read because he was like, "I'm gonna do it anyway, so you might as well just like make sure I'm okay." And he did it. And you know what's funny? I've always like kind of thought things like this. Like I'm like, could you just live off of stuff like, you know, the vitamins that your body, like let's say you crafted the perfect, I don't know, like bar, right? That was like mineral, vitamin dense, maybe it had protein or something like that, you know, and you just had that, you know, on paper, you're getting 100% of every single thing that you need for the day to function as a normal human being. Like, could you live that way? You know? And it's interesting that this guy sort of took it upon himself to like essentially run a human experiment, you know? And
it just tells you being heavy, you have a lot of energy stored in you.
Yeah.
And the fact that he didn't even lose 382 pounds, not even a pound a day.
Yeah.
He lost 275. It tells you how much like, and he wasn't eating anything.
Yeah.
That he only lost 275 pounds. It tells you like how hard it is to lose a lot of fat.
That's true, man. It tells you how difficult it is. Like he was actually burning fat.
Literally was not eating.
Yeah, like he only had his fat stores to like survive off of, right? And even then, that's how slow of a process it was. You know, like he probably he lost less than a pound a day, right? And it's a hard process. You know, he straight up didn't eat a single thing, not even exercise, nothing at all. And it still, you know, I bet some people would be like, that's it, that's all he lost. You know what I mean? And it's just, yeah, it's difficult to do.
So difficult. All right, guys, we're going to go into the studies. And now, first study is going to be about cardio fitness. So cardio fitness cuts death and disease by nearly 20%. The University of South Australia did a groundbreaking research that finds the increase of cardio fitness level will reduce the risk of any death cause a nearly 20% decrease. So it's just saying health and exercise is good for you.
Yeah, essentially, right. And I think the thing here too is that it doesn't. I think one of the main things that we should say about this is that it's not just cardio, right? It's not just cardio that can produce results like this or increase health or something. This is another one of those things that I don't really like, because then everybody's like, well, should I be doing more cardio? Should cardio be the main thing that I do? Should I start running?
It's shown that 7,500 steps make a difference.
Right. Yeah.
Strength training 2 to 3 times a week makes a difference.
Right. Yeah. And so it's just overall general, just extra support, right, for the fight against like medication, things like that, where exercise is medicine,
Yeah. And I think it goes back to what I was talking about before. It's behavior. Making these small changes.
Yeah.
Like during my talking with a chiropractor, he was talking about insomnia. So like my dad, insomnia issue.
Okay.
I had my sleep issues, TRT. But now that I take my magnesium glycinate and I set my routine, it really hasn't been happening.
Yeah.
And it just shows how important, these little steps and everything that you do matters, whether it's nutritionally, sleeping, stress, and fitness. They even do they do tests now for what's your biological age versus your chronological age. You can take these tests.
Oh, wow.
And let's say I'm 52 and my biological age is 40. Well, it's probably because I don't stress a lot. I eat well. I exercise. It's a whole combination of things where someone might be 52, but their body's really at 60. It's probably because they don't do that stuff. And I think the best visual, is our generation. Because I know a lot of people in their 30s who do not look 30.
Yeah.
Who do not act 30. Who act much older. And who are always hurting and tired and energy's just gone. And I'm just like, because you don't take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And I think we know exercise helps. But this is the hardest question. How do we get people to work out consistently? How do we get people to adapt to all these things? Like I was looking at American Heart Association, other people, there's all these statistics out here. Science is great, but we know we need to do these things. How do we get people to do those things?
Yeah, I think that's the thing that I tell a lot of people too. I'm like, everybody knows exactly what they need to do to get fit. We all know.
They know how to eat. They know how to.
Yeah, you know what food is healthy. You know to exercise. You know what I mean? Even if you didn't know how to lift a dumbbell or anything, there's treadmills or walking, and everybody knows this stuff. Everybody clearly has the idea. It's about actually doing it and then like continuously doing it, right?
Yeah. This next study is scientists work out the effects of exercise at its cellular level.
Wow.
So this is a broad institute of MIT and Harvard combined. The health benefits of exercise are well known, but new research shows that the body's response to exercise is more complex and far-reaching than previously thought. In the study of rats, a team of scientists has found that physical activity causes many cellular and molecular changes in all 19 of the organs. This is the first time that they did every organ and not just single out one. So exercise affects every process in your body. The team studied a range of tissues from the animals, such as the heart, brain, and lungs. They found that each of the organs looked and changed with exercise, helping the body to regulate the immune response, respond to stress, control pathways of connected to inflammatory liver disease, heart disease, and tissue injuries.
Holy crap. That's insane. That's pretty crazy, dude. I think this is the first time that we've ever heard of something like this. You know what I mean? And we always say stuff like this, right? Like, if you're not motivated by losing weight, then be motivated for like your hair, skin, and nails. You know what I mean? Like, there's all these things that exercise benefits. And I think that too, did they say what kind of exercise or just like exercise?
They had them doing just exercise in general. Okay, sometimes they had to do cardiovascular work, sometimes it was strength training base, but every form of exercise affected the whole body.
That's insane, dude. It just goes to show like how we were made to do things. You know what I mean? We were made to move or made to work or made to like, I was having a conversation with a client the other day and we were, he was finishing up his sessions and stuff like that. He was someone else's client that I was kind of just like helping out. And at the end of it, he was like, what did he say? He was like, one of the main things that I learned from this whole experience is that if people just like did some more hard work and sweated a little bit more, they'd probably be a lot less discontent with their lives. And I was like, what a simple thing to say, but like so true. You know what I mean? And they'd probably be a lot healthier. They probably wouldn't be as stressed. Like, man, all of these things. And it just goes back to what we said earlier, that everybody knows what they have to do and how it could benefit them. Clearly, you know, it's just like, how do we get them to actually do it?
Yeah, and I think spending your money is a great way to do it, like either personal training, physical therapy if you're at that level, if you need chiropractic work, something, massage therapist, like when we talked to Neva, like that could get you going.
Yeah.
Supplements, like we talked about that. I mean, it's not going to make a big difference, but maybe it changes your behaviors.
It might even be like buying some cool workout clothes or some shit. You
Focus on sleep.
Yeah.
All right, guys, before we go to the fitness questions, if you like what we're doing, we're on Apple, Spotify. You can rate and view us. Also, on YouTube, check out and subscribe down below because we do fitness shorts all the time. They're released daily on there. Then you can comment below. Also, we have our website, strengthsolutionspodcast.com. Social media is Strength Solutions Podcast. On Instagram, I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
Okay, let's get ready for these fitness questions. So the first question is, how do you measure metabolism?
Yeah. This is a question that one of my clients gave me. And I was like, damn, dude, what a good question. And I was like, I don't really know. So this is my answer to him. And then I'm interested to see what you say too, or if you agree or whatever it is. Number one, I was explaining to him what metabolism is, right? And how it has like two separate parts. It's catabolism and anabolism, right? Breakdown and building. And I was like, there's these two separate parts of it. Now, how to measure your metabolism, I was like, man, the only way I can really think of like how to measure it is how much lean muscle you have, right? How much muscle mass you have. Is your muscle are you increasing muscle mass? You know, like things like that are the only sort of ways that I can think of like numerically, you know, measuring your metabolism and just understanding that the higher that muscle mass number is, quote unquote, the faster your metabolism is. I was also kind of talking to him, and we'll go into that next part about like talking about like fast metabolism, et cetera. And then I guess it also depends on how many calories you can intake throughout the day. I guess is another way to sort of measure your metabolism. How many calories you can intake without gaining weight, right? Like your basal metabolic rate, I guess, is another way to sort of measure it. And in number form, that's what I was trying to get to is like, how do you like numerically get this? Because I was like, man, you can't just like step on a scale, you know, or things like that. Like those are some of the only ways that I was like, I think those would probably be the best ones I could think of.
Like how much do you burn to, right?
Right,
so,
yeah.
As far as burning goes, I know you have these indirect calometers, right?
Right.
That's not very accurate. But as far as burning goes, there's a direct calometer where you put a mask on, you get inspiration, and so your VO2 max matters, your muscle mass matters. There's so many factors that measure metabolism, your sleep, what you eat, because your protein versus carbohydrates and how you digest that. I think don't focus on the number. Focus on the habits you create to be consistent. Yeah. And I think like, it goes right back to that.
Right. And that's what I was telling him. I was like, I'm trying to think of ways that I could get like a normal person to do it. I was like, without like, I don't know, doing blood work or something like that, you know, like or an like exercise test,
test,
like a VO2 max test, right. Or things like that. Like, cause obviously those are a little more inaccessible, you know? And so I was like, this is the only ways that I can kind of think of it. But yeah, at the end of the day, I was just like, my goal though, is to just make you build, right? Like that is, I would like you to be more anabolic than I would like you to be catabolic, you know?
So that leads to the second question. How do you keep your metabolism fast as you're getting older?
Yeah. Okay. So that was like his second question, because I was telling him that as you get older, your metabolism just slows, right? Or becomes more catabolic, right? And I think that was like what I was trying to get at. I was like, I don't really even like saying fast metabolism.
But I think the new science says it's around like 60, 65 where it actually really slows down.
Age-wise? Yeah. And I was like, I don't even really like saying like, oh, you have a fast metabolism. You have a whatever metabolism. I think we should more use the words like anabolic and catabolic because I was telling him, I was like, you can have someone who can't gain weight, you know, like let's say I have someone who's a hard gainer. They're 100 pounds, you know, and they just have to eat all damn day in order to like build their metabolism, you know, or I'm sorry, to gain weight, right? I would say that person has a fast metabolism, right? And then backwards, I would say that if someone has trouble losing weight or they're just very overweight, don't have a lot of lean muscle tissue. They have a slow metabolism, right? The opposite. And so he was asking that as you get older, what's the best way to keep it, quote unquote, fast, right? And I was like, building muscle, baby. That's
as much lean tissue as possible, right?
That is the only way. And that's what I was telling him too. I was like, when I have clients who come in, like my oldest client right now is 72. Mm-hmm. I have clients who are in their 60s, things like that. And still to this day, they'll come in and be like, I'd like to lose some weight or, whatever. And as a trainer, I'm like, the last thing I want to do is like make you more catabolic as you become more catabolic throughout life, right? Like your body just breaks down. That's a fucking humanity, right? As you get older, it just breaks down.
Yeah.
And so my goal during that time is to build you as much as I can. And then when we maybe can no longer build anymore, right? Which never really happens. But my goal then is to maintain, right? To the end of life, really, And so that was sort of what I said to him.
Yeah. I don't think people realize too, it's not like, yes, your metabolism is going to slow down, but you just got to be a little bit more consistent, because there's been people who started later in life exercise who have built muscle, has taken away pain from their body. It is possible to be anabolic as you're older. It just is not going to happen as fast of a rate as when you were younger, or you're not able to get away with as much as you were when you were younger. For example, I can't get away with alcohol right now, just like I used to get away with alcohol in my 20s. I could go drinking at night and then go wake up. Your body just adapts differently.
Yeah.
And it just becomes more, let's try to become more efficient. I will say today, I feel better than I did in my late 20s, in my late 30s, because I take care of myself.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 3. Because of my schedule, I work out first thing in the morning and eat breakfast somewhere between an hour to 2 after I get home. Often after a hard workout, I find that it's very hard for me to eat. Is it common, and what can I do to get around this?
Well, I want you to go first. Tell me your advice.
Okay. My first advice is, are you getting your calories all day and your protein all day? As long as you're doing that, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Right?
You don't have to eat.
As long as you're hitting those marks. Now, let's say you're not hitting your protein. This is where hey, maybe a protein shake would be great, because you're not going to be able to eat, supplement there. Let's say you're trying to be in a deficit and it affects you later. Right. This is where a protein shake would be good. Also there, get you a little fuller, so that way you don't overeat later. It's all depending on scenario. Now, if it's not affecting anything else, you're completely fine. Yeah. You're not an athlete. Your job does not revolve around working out, gaining more muscle, and taking care of the anabolic window when that was a big deal, right?
Yeah.
It's just about, can you be consistent enough to do something that works for you? Yeah. And then you're 95% of the way. Now, if this is your job working out, I'd be like, okay, if you need to look like this for physique model or bikini or bodybuilding, you're a powerlifter and you need to refeed, yes, it's going to affect you, but you're not that athlete.
Put that fucking food down. The first thing I would say is let's exit bitch mode. No, I'm just kidding. No,
whoever this is, they probably already hate you.
For me, like I said, so I don't even eat, until like way after my workout and stuff like that. Sometimes it's hours away,
And some people would say your human growth hormone goes up, even though you're in a fasted state. So it's not like your body's not trying to balance it.
Right. That's one of the things where I would say, like, this isn't like make or break, right, about your gains or whatever. I don't even think about the anabolic window, that I sort of forgot it was a concept. So I don't know if this is one of the reasons why. But how about just like even cutting the food that you normally eat in half? Like eat a smaller meal so that you can at least eat something, right? Yeah. And then maybe supplement it with the protein shake or whatever it is, and then be done, right? So at least you ate and you're not like, I didn't eat, after my workout or whatever it is. And then just move on, like finish the rest of your meal later on, or have maybe a larger meal for lunch or whatever it is. Now, one part of the question is like, is this common? No, I don't really know. I haven't really heard this before.
There are some people who just cannot do this. So it is pretty common.
Yeah.
There's nothing
I would imagine,
wrong,
right? Yeah.
wrong with you. I'm just not that person.
Yeah.
I know I have clients, I have seen other people that are just like, I just can't eat right after I work out.
Yeah, I have some clients who are like, I have to eat before a workout. You know what I mean? And so it just kind of depends. If you're sitting there and your food's sitting on the table and you're like, fuck, I don't want to eat this, then don't, dude. Like, you know what I mean? It's way too much. Like,
it's more stress, and then stress leads to poor decisions, and poor decisions lead to being inconsistent.
And maybe it's not like the biggest stress and you're just trying to figure it out or whatever, but that's what I would say. You know, maybe protein shake, maybe cut down the portion that you have, or maybe just don't eat after it and eat later.
Yeah. Question number 4. Is it better to work out by yourself, a workout partner, or in a group fitness class? Go for it. To be honest, okay, I'm going to break it down to levels.
Yeah.
The first thing is what's going to keep you consistent, whether it's a group fitness class, working out with a partner, or working out by yourself. That's number 1, right? Now let's talk about how to optimize. Group fitness class is definitely not going to optimize you because the focus won't be on you. And then also you're more likely to compare your workout to whoever you're next to. So you may go shorter on a jumping lunge. You may go shorter on a run because you're chasing winning or you're chasing something that someone may be better than you at.
Yeah.
A workout partner would be the next step on the optimizing, right? The problem with a workout partner is this person going to challenge you? Is this person going to do the same workout as you? Is this person like going to be consistent for you?
Yeah.
The most optimal is to work out by yourself because me and Nathaniel understand programming is so individual. Rest periods count.
Yeah.
Everything counts as an individual. It's going to be the most optimal. But if you're not a person who can come by yourself, maybe get a trainer, that'd be more optimal than working out with a partner.
Yeah.
But if you can't afford a trainer, a partner is the next best thing.
That's what,
and
man.
So it's all depending on what you need.
If you have to work out with someone, like let's say you're nervous or let's say you don't really know or whatever, like I would choose a personal trainer before I chose a friend. Now, I'll be real honest. I'm a lonesome workout guy. You know,
I'm with you too.
I want to work out alone, and we're buddies, man. And even us are just like, I might just work out later, you know. And it's like, so if I work out with people, I just want you to know, like, I really like you because I'm spending that time with you. That, like, really, I mean, for me, like, it's like an important time. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, it's kind of one of the only times I get to be alone, you know, and like just focus on myself and stuff like that. So I think for me, one of my main things too that I would add into sort of your list of looking at and your idea is the strength level of the person that you're going to work out with. Because I mean, you know,
that's
like
why I don't work out with Nathaniel. Cannot bench press.
Taking all the plates off, man. But yeah, it's like, you know, like I can work out probably with you. I could probably work out with my brother, things like that, you know. And then not that it's a problem or whatever, but if you work out with someone who's maybe stronger than you or on the other end, like maybe not as strong as you, there's going to be a lot of time spent of like changing exercises or taking plates off or whatever. And it's like thinking about the time that you have, like, do you have the time to do that? Are you guys going to be like shooting the shit the whole time? You know?
So the way I see a workout partner is if I'm going to work out with somebody, we're going to shoot the shit. We're going to talk. Yeah. We're going to exercise.
It's
we're going to enjoy
happen,
it.
right?
It's not going to be a serious workout.
Yeah.
It just, because I had a conversation with Ethan the other day and he was talking about like, I could see the exact rep in which I recorded and hurting my back or whatever. And I was like, it's because you weren't focused. He was like, no, I was focused. I was like, no, you're not focused the same when you record versus when you just do stuff on your own. You take a little bit of yourself out. And a lot of people don't understand that when you record. That's why I don't record myself because I take myself out of the moment a little bit. Yeah. You know, if someone records me without me knowing, then I'll be in the moment. But for the most part, if I have to set up the camera and all that stuff, I'm already taking myself out of the lift and then I'm not as effective.
Yeah, fair enough. So I think number one, find out which one is going to make you the most consistent. If you can work out by yourself, that's what I would consider to be optimal because you can just take all the time in the world. You can focus. You can be
individualize it.
Yeah, you can be super present with the workout and just figure it out whichever one works best for you.
I literally have thought about taking group fitness classes for my cardio and doing like F45 Orange Theory just one day a week. I've thought about it because it's just
because that's some consistency for you, right? Like it's something that's going to keep you going.
And then it'll keep me part of the community.
Yeah, because like realistically thinking about this, I'm like resistance training. I'm going to choose workout by myself. If I got to do like cardio or something like that, I got to do it with someone else or I will sit at fucking home, dude. I won't even make it out the door.
All right, guys, if you like what we're doing, please share, and like. We're on Apple and Spotify. You can rate and review us there. On YouTube, you can subscribe to our podcast channel, Strength Solutions Podcast, and you can leave comments down below. Then, if you're looking for a website, it's strengthsolutionspodcast.com. Email is strengthsolutionspodcast.com. Also, our social media is Strength Solutions Podcast across Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. On Instagram, I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
Until next time, guys, what? Peace out.